Welcome back to all of our Florida Powerboat Club YouTubers who are enjoying these episodes brought to you by the Florida Powerboat Club as we rejoin our members on the 2020 edition of the Miami Boat Show Poker Run, celebrating 25 years of powerboating in paradise and featuring all of the leading performance manufacturers who have just left the Miami International Boat Show to come and play down in the Florida Keys for 4 days of boating fun. Florida Powerboat Club's 2020 series sponsors include Deep Impact Custom Boats and their associated brand, Blackwater Boats, Nortec High Performance Boats, Midnight Express Powerboats, Myco Trailers, Performance Boat Center, Mystic Powerboats, Superior Communications, and Mercury Racing Wide Open. So let's get back to our adventurous Florida Powerboat Club members as we join them for episode 2 with feature coverage of this Miami Boat Show Poker Run. When we left off on the last show, we were just making that turn from the coastal waters into Government Cut and making our way through Port Miami as we joined the Thursday departure group, about 30 boats all together, heading down from Miami to the Florida Keys for 4 days of boating fun. And here's a scene you don't get to see too often. A giant container ship, fully loaded. Well, they're in and out of Port Miami all the time, but very rarely are they right here smack in the middle of the channel. But of course, everybody moved over to the port side and got into a single file and safely navigated that narrow channel. As you can see, that's Fisher Island over on the right side, and there's a lot of other recreational boating traffic coming through at the same time. So you don't want to mess with these big guys, these big tugboats, while they're doing their job, pushing that 800-foot freighter over to its berth in Port Miami. Now, for those of you who are maybe new to the club or new to this whole Miami boating scene, remember that it's only on the south side of Port Miami that they allow the recreational boating traffic to travel freely. On the north side of the port, where the cruise ships are berthed usually, they do not like to permit any recreational boating traffic, especially when those big cruise ships are in port. And speaking of cruise ships, well, this might be the powerboat equivalent of a cruise ship because it's a big XT 430 Black Thunder, and you don't get a cabin much bigger than this. It's a full 6'2" stand-up headroom in that forward cabin. Lots of room for all your friends. Alex has his buddy David Wilkes on board today driving the boat. They're just having a nice ride down to the Florida Keys. Their second event in a row now. They joined us for the Winter Poker Run to Marathon just a month earlier. Now let's say hi to Jim Lee from Kansas. His 39-foot cigarette called The Sig. But I don't see Jimmy Lee on board. I see Big Bubba driving the boat, and I see Don Doty hanging on to that center console for the ride. Both of these guys have their own boats, but I guess they just couldn't get them here for the run, so it's always good to have a friend like Jimmy Lee because he owns at least 3 or 4 boats, and, you know, you can only drive one at a time. Here's a great shot of Port Miami Government Cut as we close in now on this Outer Limits. Michael and Nicole Lund all the way from Massachusetts. They just made their turn in from the coastal waters, and looks like he is backed off the throttles, probably stopped for just a little bit, either to get his bearings or check a few instruments, but it looks like he's back on the throttles now. And now we're catching up with Mike Layton in that nice 46-foot Adrenaline, the newest model with Quad Mercury Racing 400Rs. The first big outboard boat model is named the Speede, which they're not doing a lot of right now. I think they're just taking a little scenic tour as they make their way here into Port Miami. Nice shot of Fisher Island off in the background. And another wide angle of what I would consider to be that ultimate money shot with 3 big giant container ships unloading and then of course reloading in what happens to be one of the busiest ports in southeastern United States. So let's talk a little bit about this course that we're taking through the coastal waters and then turning into Government Cut. The reason for that is really that we want to give everyone a shot in the coastal waters just to get some nice photos as they leave Haulover Inlet, but we don't really want to stay out here for the entire way down, and there's a lot of reasons for that. You know, it's just a little bit bumpy offshore, but the more scenic ride is really on the inside waters. So by turning in here through Port Miami and then crossing over to Rickenbacker Causeway, it also allows us to rendezvous at Grove Harbor Marina, where we're going to have at least a few more boats joining us for the run today. So that's why we select this course. Everyone says, well, why don't you run offshore all the way down? Well, it's not really that easy to get into Key Largo from the ocean side either. The passes are relatively hard to find, they're narrow, and they can be shallow, so they're not really poker run friendly. And neither would this ship, but at 1,100 feet in length, this Bianca is part of an Italian container line, but she's importing mostly Chinese imports in those containers coming into the Port Miami. And nothing better than the sound of Mercury Racing 1350s. And unlike all those Chinese-made products on that container ship, Adrenaline Powerboats are 100% American-made. And another very scenic landmark as we make our way into Biscayne Bay is this Rickenbacker Causeway. And you look off in the background, you can still see a lot of the Miami Boat Show is still in place and intact. Remember that it's just after the show they start dismantling all those docks and moving everything out, but it does take several weeks after the show before they clear the site entirely. And a reminder to all of the boaters watching right now, passing through Rickenbacker Causeway is absolutely idle speed at all times. Construction going on here on a regular basis. And just a quick check-in with Joe Balistreri from Lighthouse Point, Florida, and his 33 Everglades. He's got Miami-Dade Fire Rescue paramedics on board. And we can call this next segment Made in America with Adrenaline Powerboats as the chopper closes in. And I'm riding on board today with Brad Schoenwald, Jackie riding along with us, as well as Ryan, our producer. Got the camera rolling. And it's my second time actually riding in the 47 ZRX, powered by Mercury Racing 1350s. The first time was a couple summers ago when Mike Layton took me for a ride on Lake Lanier. Went up there for the poker run. Of course, his company is based in Georgia, and that's where he builds all of the Adrenaline Powerboats. Has been in business for quite some time, but I think that this 47 ZRX is certainly the flagship of the fleet, at least for the stern drive models. Mercury Racing 1350s, amazing rooster tail coming off those M8s, and a certainly fast boat with amazing acceleration. And we had a very comfortable and exciting ride with Brad Schoenwald at the helm as we headed south on Biscayne Bay. Now, if anybody has ever had a chance to see this boat closer, would agree with me that it has some amazing technology and some very unique features built into it. It's set up for 6 on board. Each person has a big, cushy, high-back bucket seat to sit down in, and it sits down very low, so you have a very safe and comfortable feel in the cockpit because you're down very low and you got a windshield wrapping around you. You can actually carry a conversation on running 100 miles an hour without any trouble at all. Except, of course, if the Blue Wave audio system is fully energized, because it's basically a nightclub sound system in that cockpit of that boat, as well as the speakers that pop up from the deck. Pretty impressive the way Mike has designed and built this boat. But the sister ship now, that 46 Speede that we saw earlier, was able to come alongside and join us, and here she is here. I think that Mike finally realized that we were creating an opportunity for the 2 boats to run alongside. And when that happened, that's when we got what I considered to be the true money shot, because this 46 and this 47 Adrenaline are the one and only. There's only one of each boat at this time. They're custom built. I took years of development for Mike to get this far. So to see these 2 boats together on our Miami Boat Show poker run, which, you know, by design is a manufacturer's rally to feature the new models, I think this is a perfect opportunity to say that we have accomplished our goal here on this 25th anniversary to put these 2 Adrenalines together and really show them off. I think Michael Layton did a fantastic job with these boats. I'm not even going to suggest what I think the pricing is of each of them or go any further with the technical information, so you can check that all out online at their website, AdrenalinePowerboats.com. So I would like to say a very special thank you to Mike and Robin Layton from Adrenaline Powerboats for joining us on the 25th anniversary of the Miami Boat Show Poker Run. And we're making our turn now for our next checkpoint, and that's to go into Grove Harbor Marina in Coconut Grove. It's our normal rendezvous point where we're going to be picking up several more teams and a poker card for the run. Grove Harbor Marina has been an official staging location for the Florida Powerboat Club for well over 10 years. They have a huge in-water marina as well as dry storage and a 60,000-pound Wiggins forklift for staging and putting boats in the water for those guys who don't like to dunk their trailers in salt water. And we're getting a great shot from the drone here of Joe Castellana and Joe Jr. in their 388 skater. They've been participating in this event for several years now. Seems to be one that they just keep coming back. It works out well with their schedule. They also like to do the Key West poker run, but this has really turned out to be a great outlet for father and son. I know they work hard together at their home business, but to be able to get away and jump on their skater and go out and have some fun, I can't think of a better way for a father and son to get out and just have some good quality time together. Altogether, about 7 skaters registered for this 65-boat fleet. A skater from Douglas, Michigan, not a sponsor with the club, but certainly they have a very loyal following with our membership. And time to say hi again to Roger and Pam Anderson in their 39-foot Nortec Team Easy Money 2. Easy Money 1 is a 42-foot fountain Lightning that they brought on a lot of events up at the Emerald Coast Poker Run. That's where we first met them years ago. But since they purchased this Nortec 390 Sport, they have been doing a lot of poker runs, not only in the Florida Keys, but all over the state of Florida and including the Bahamas. And I'm sure I've said this before, but I will say it again. Roger and Pam's boating lifestyle completely changed when they bought this Nortec 390, and they have been really enjoying it. It has been the perfect boat for their lifestyle, and they have been everywhere with it, and I thank them for being such great supporters of our club. And we told you there were a total of 7 skaters. Well, here's another one. John and Amy Azulay from Texas, a 44-foot skater, Mercury Racing 1350s. It might look very similar to a boat once owned by another club member named Chris Bradley. Well, that's because it is the same boat, but John put some of his personal touches on the boat and did some nice custom paint. I think he did a wonderful job. And he's going to be joining us for the day. And for those of you who sometimes don't have time to do the whole weekend, we can do just a one-day program for our club members if they just want to join us and come down to Key Largo, have lunch, and get in on the fun. We'll make that program available to you, and we do appreciate having John on this run. He doesn't get on too many runs with us, but boy, nice to see this team out again. What a great-looking boat. And you can't help saying, boy, those guys from Texas, they love their powerboating. Another team all the way from Austin, Texas, Lane Christensen and his crew on their 48-foot MTI powered by Mercury Racing 1350s, Team Fast Lane. And when they're not boating in Florida, back at home in Texas, they're in the Austin area on Lake Travis with a beautiful home looking down on the lake. What a great setup with an amazing floating dock for his toys. And I think this is a Jim Lee spotting. Yes, indeed it is. Jim Lee on his 28-foot skater. We mentioned earlier that Don Doty and Bubba Crisco were driving Jim's 39 Cigarette. Well, that's because Jim's on his 28-foot skater. He did a great job of redoing this boat with some fresh paint. Did this a few years back, actually. Pair of Mercury Racing 300s. And I think we're going to have to call this episode the drone episode because without this drone, we couldn't get all these shots. You know, drones have really, for us anyway, have reinvented the whole production process of capturing all this content and great video. You know, we could never get shots like this with a helicopter because we'd pretty much blow you guys right out of the water. Nice shot here of Michael Tandoy from New York and his lovely first mate, Tonya. We saw them in the last episode getting their card at Haulover. And Tonya, of course, showing off that beautiful yellow bikini. And John Wittenberger Jr. idling in with the 30 Spectre. They're passing the towel around, drying off from that little dousing they got back at Hullover Inlet. Well, for those of us who are attending, well, we know darn well what's going on here. We're picking up a poker card, but for many of you who are watching for the first time, this is poker card number 2 of a 5-card exchange, and this is the way we do it here at Grove Harbor. This clockwise turn as you come around and bring your port side up to the dock. It's the safest way to do it, and these guys here on the dock are ready for you. The Grove Harbor guys invented these little boxing glove pulls and giving you what I'd say kit gloves, literally, as you pull up to the dock, and 2 or 3 pulls stretch out to just push you off the dock gingerly so you don't get any paint scratches on that $35,000 paint job on your cigarette, right, Sal? And nice to see Tonya is keeping her spirits alive and very enthusiastic here. Remember, they came down from Rochester, New York area where it's cold and snowy in the middle of February, and she's on the front of her boyfriend's boat with her bikini on. So I think that I'd be happy too, right? But a quick little memo to Tonya. You don't need to wear your life jacket for the card handout. We want to see all that bikini, girl. And now it's Natalie's turn as she climbs up on the deck of Team Bad Decision. John Wittenberger Jr. at the helm. And it's not her first rodeo. She's done this many times. She could do it blindfolded. But I do want to commend all these teams for wearing their life jackets and keeping it safe here as they attend these poker runs. And we continue to see cigarettes of all varieties on these poker run events, but we don't very often see the 46 model. They didn't build a lot of these. Mike Caravetta has just redone her completely with fresh paint and brand new Mercury Racing 1350s. So she's as good as new and ready to run. And it looks like it's Angela's tour of duty again now, her second poker card here as she climbs up on the deck of Del Flores 39-foot Velocity Team Spartan Powerboats from New Jersey. And again, it is not her first rodeo because they like to do a lot of poker runs back at home as well. And it's kind of a rare boat, this 39 Velocity. They didn't build a lot of them. They're built here in Florida. The company's been a little bit in limbo over the last few years. They built some smaller boats. But I did start to see some 29, 30, 32-foot models coming out of the factory recently. I believe they have new ownership. So let's wait and see what Velocity has to bring us. And lo and behold, it's the lovely Brittany getting the card for James Lee's center console with her guy Bubba Crisco at the helm and Don Doty riding along. Not her first rodeo either. She's done so many poker runs and was the poster girl for Powerboat Nation, which is probably what got her hooked on powerboating in paradise. And another shot here with Alex Tembelis pulling up to the dock and getting his poker card, a vintage 43 Black Thunder, which was around back in the days when we got this event started in the late 90s. And that brand new Wright Performance 360, which was showcased at the Miami International Boat Show just a few days earlier. April Lamb up on the bow getting her poker card, and they are celebrating their very first poker run because that's where they took delivery of this new model, powered by Mercury Racing 450Rs and delivered by Performance Boat Center. And another team that is making the Florida Powerboat Club a big part of their boating lifestyle, Scott and Stacy Rosenbach from Illinois. They started doing these events several years ago in a cigarette huntress, but they decided it was time to go fast and got themselves this 48-foot MTI. And it says powered by Mercury Racing 1550s, which would be the dual cowl motors, and that would make this one fast ride. And for those of you who follow our YouTube channel closely, well, you saw this couple in our last series, the Winter Poker Run, Steve and Teresa Presley from Tennessee. This 41-foot cigarette powered by Quad Mercury Racing 400Rs Hey guys, it doesn't get much better than that, and that is why they are living in the moment. And a great shot here now of Frank Esposito's brand new 42-foot Mystic powered by Quad Mercury Racing 450Rs. Guys, this is the flagship really of the center console lineup that Mystic Powerboat has to offer. Of course, they also sell a catamaran lineup now, but Frank is loving his boat, and the guy that we can thank for that is Mystic Powerboat owner John Kosker. We caught up with him at the Miami Boat Show at the Mystic booth, where we had a lot to talk about and find out what Mystic has got planned for 2020. Here at the Miami Boat Show 2020, John, I think that your brand, Mystic Powerboats, is really, it's come to a point where you have so much to show to people and so much range in terms of the product. You must be very proud of your line of boats now.
Yeah, you know, we've made a huge transition in the last 4 years. You know, we went from building exotic race boats and turbine boats, and you know, we would build 1 or 2 boats a year, and you know, this year we're going to try to deliver 30 boats. So it's been a huge transformation with the company. You know, we've started setting up a dealer network now. We're expanding the facility, you know, that we've been in now for 11 or 12 years. So it's been transitional years. We've been working really hard at it, but it's really starting to pay off for us.
Well, it's I see that, and you know, I think that again, so many guys in the industry that have cut their teeth in racing, as you did by building these big 50-foot race boats, and you built a lot of successful racing teams, you know, like Team Geico, and I would like to say that, you know, most people that buy a boat from a builder, they like to know that that racing pedigree is there. They don't really want to go racing, but they know that if the guy has racing background and a little racing in his veins, that he's going to have some effect. Now, that goes one step further, is that you've actually developed a lot of the hulls and the bottom, you know, blueprints for a lot of other manufacturers as well.
Yeah, you know, while we were building all the exotic race boats and everything, I was doing a lot of freelance design for a number of builders who are here at the show today with my bottoms on their boats. So, you know, when we went into this market, you know, a few years ago, I had a couple people who looked a little crossly at me and said, you know, what'd you do differently on yours that I didn't get on mine? But, you know, this transition to this market, the best thing for us is, you know, with the race boats, it was a lot of fun and, you know, we had a great time, but it was go fast and work on the boat. You know, this has gotten me back into boating. I mean, we ran into each other in Bimini last year. I was out there with my family with my last 42, and we put 1,800 miles on that boat in 4 months. So it's embraced me back into the boating world and the boating life, and, you know, you're going to see us on more poker runs with Mystics now. Our hardest part coming from the race boat side of it was, if our boats went fast and won, that's all that mattered. Yeah. Now we had to go to, all the seams had to be perfect, the stitching had to be perfect, every door couldn't rattle. You know, it was a real big transition for us, and it took us a good 4 or 5 months of really getting it through to the guys and what we were looking for. Sure. To the point of, you know, having to bring exotic cars up to the shop for them to look at and say, this is what we're trying to build. Yes. And, you know, that was the biggest transition, the hardest part, but it's really rewarding to us now to see people come on the boats now and say the fit and finish on these boats is just beautiful.
And I don't know how many of our viewers out there might have said at one point, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, that, you know, the cats are going to eventually go away because the V-bottoms are going to take over and the outboard center consoles are going to take over. But, oh my God, nobody had any idea that the cats not only came back, but they came back in mass. Now you have shown your ability to build a new, exciting new cat model. Started with a 38, but you told me a minute ago it's evolved into something new. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're getting ready. We just basically retooled the whole boat. It'll be a 40-footer going forward. You know, when we first brought the boat out, it was Slug Hefner, who was a great customer of ours. You know, he came to me and said, you know, can we build an outboard cat? And at first I was like, well, we don't build an outboard cat. And I started thinking about it, and it was in the shower one morning. I said, you know, why don't we just take our 44-foot stern drive boat and we'll insert the mold and we'll put some outboards on and see what it does. Well, you know, we built 17 of the 50-footers. We built 5 of the 44-footers. We've sold about 13 of these 38 cats in 2 years. So, I mean, it's just crazy what this market is and where it's gone to. And we've taken a little bit different tact where, you know, we kind of call it the gentleman's, you know, offshore performance cat, where we may not be the fastest on the water, but we've really focused on ride quality, usability, and, you know, a quiet hull, things like that people can go out and really enjoy a day on the water with these boats with open cockpits that are easy to, you know, you can go beach it and walk right off the back of the boat with a swim ladder on it, and it has a lounge pad on the back. So, you know, to take something that runs well over 100 miles an hour, but really be able to spend the whole day on it.
You've managed to create a cockpit that is very comfortable. There's a lot of cockpit there. There's a lot of room in there, but there's also very tall sides, a lot of freeboard in the boat. and it gives the passenger kind of a feeling of comfort that you might not get with some other boats, and as well as the high windshield. So I think that, my observation is that people, whether you're in the front seat or the back seat, you want to have a nice ride and you want to feel protected and safe. And I think that somewhere along the line, you guys decided that was important, and you built that into the design of your boat. So congratulations on that. What have we got over here? Tell us a little bit about this new 38 over here.
This is our 38-footer with triple 300s on it. It's the naturally aspirated V8. This boat will run 70 to the low 70s, which is plenty fast for the center consoles. The funny thing is, like with our 38 and our 42, we can put triples on this and quads on that. They run within a mile an hour or two of each other. And it's a matter of preference. Like, if you're a bay boat or a river boat or something like that, the 38 is plenty of boat for that. You can take it to the Bahamas. You probably have to pick your day. I always say on the 42, you can go to the Bahamas when you want to go to the Bahamas.
Well, John, thank you very much for spending some time with us today. And I'm going to go ahead and announce to everybody out there, and I'm very proud to say that Mystic is going to become more aligned with the Florida Powerboat Club than ever before. Going forward in 2020 and years to come, Mystic is going to be a full-time annual series sponsor with Florida Powerboat Club. And John, that to me just says that we must be doing our job right, because clearly we have a lot of Mystic owners in our club. We know how to take care of those people. For us, it's all about the lifestyle and delivering a fun boating experience. And as long as you keep building great boats, I think we're going to have a great partnership.
Sounds great. Thank you, Stu.
Thank you. So let's get back with our poker teams as we continue to gather up cards here at Grove Harbor Marina. And this is certainly going to be one of the big flagship center consoles of this poker run. This 57-foot MTI owned by Scott and Stacy Rosenbach. And, of course, the lovely Alicia reaching over, as we all know, affiliated with the Performance Boat Center, getting that lucky poker card from the team at Grove Harbor. But just take a look at this amazing 57-foot MTI. Plenty of room for all your friends. Traveling with a pretty light, small crew today. 20 people, no problem. But I did have the opportunity to attend the MTI fun run about a month later, and I didn't ride on the boat, but I was at a dock party at the Hawks Cay Resort, and I think there was easily 25 people just hanging out on the boat, and it had different areas where people were hanging out. Like you had the aft deck, the forward deck, you had the giant cabin down below, a full bar. What a party machine. And now just breaking away from the drone camera angle for a little bit, I'm going to ride on board this Adrenaline. We've got our producer Ryan McCoy on board, getting some nice video shots and putting you guys like right in the cockpit so you can see and feel what it's like to attend the poker run from inside one of our performance sponsor boats. And this is as close as we can get you without getting saltwater spray all over you. Well, we've still got a few teams to make their way up to the dock and get their poker cards. Thanks to Team Midnight Express for rallying ahead and getting the poker cards to the dock here. And I think a couple of ladies from Team Midnight handled the card exchange here with the team from Grove Harbor. Now it's time for Team Adrenaline Powerboats to come up to the dock, and we are going to get an official poker card. Of course, I'm not allowed to play the game because, well, that would probably cheat. But, Mike Layton, he's fair game. He's a playing team, and they're allowed to get a card. So it's Jackie reaching out to pick up a card for Mike Layton and hand off to Brad Schoenwald here on Team Adrenaline ZRX model all-carbon layup. And there's a great shot of that cockpit I was telling you about earlier with the 6 cushy little Recaro-style seats. You sit your butt down in that seat and grab the handrail and hang on for the ride. There's our dock crew, Andre with the drone, Steve there with the poker stick, Eric Glazer and Leslie from Midnight Express who helped us with the handoff. And let's thank Team Seakeeper, one of our sponsors, with those Miami-Dade fire rescue staff on board. So goodbye, Grove Harbor Marina, and hello, Rooster Tails, as we hit the throttles on this 47-foot Adrenaline and get up to speed with the rest of our teams heading southbound on Biscayne Bay. We've got plenty more feature coverage of this Miami Boat Show Poker Run 2020 edition, celebrating 25 years of featuring the leading performance manufacturers as we come off the heels of the Miami International Boat Show. So this will wrap up episode 2 of our feature coverage. When we come back with episode 3, we'll be chasing these powerboat teams featuring high performance, and sport boat class boats heading southbound from Miami to Key Largo on the beautiful waters of Biscayne Bay. Be sure to keep following us right here on YouTube. Remember that you can always subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell so you don't miss a single episode. And if you want to get detailed information about the Florida Powerboat Club, including membership and upcoming events, you can visit us online at flpowerboat.com. Check out our Facebook page, Florida Powerboat Club. And of course, we are on social media, including Instagram and Twitter. From our Florida Powerboat Club studios in Pompano Beach, Florida, this is Stu Jones along with our producer Ryan McCoy. Thanks for watching, and if you're out boating this weekend, be sure to be safe, wear your life jackets, and be respectful to your fellow boaters. Bye for now. Florida Powerboat Club's 2020 series sponsors include Deep Impact Custom Boats and their associated brand, Blackwater Boats, Nortec High Performance Boats, Midnight Express Powerboats, Myco Trailers, Performance Boat Center, Mystic Powerboats, Superior Communications, and Mercury Racing Wide Open.